Hey there, sweet friends. I hope you are all well. Welcome or welcome back if you're new. It's day 5 of our 13 days of Halloween tutorial series. If you're just joining in, you can find the link for the first 4 days at the top of the description so you can get caught up. And don't forget to listen throughout the video for the question of the day. For today's project, we are creating a fun and festive Halloween banner that's perfect to decorate your home for spooky season. And so this was inspired by a banner that we have made previously, making A2 size cards and then adding them to trim. And that makes it so much easier than to punch all the holes at the top and threading your ribbon through. So this is a fast and easy way to decorate your home for the holidays. And if that sounds good to you, then stick around and we'll make it together. So I'm working with this Spooktacular Halloween collection from Echo Park. This is so cute and whimsical. It does have more traditional colors, but it is very young at heart. And so I'm going to grab a couple of the geometrics from this for some of my layers, and then I'm also going to utilize the sticker sheet. And so when I went through here, I knew that I wanted to have 3 separate sections for my banner, and so I picked 3 of the elements that were very similar because I wanted a very cohesive look between all of these panels when they're hung together. And so I picked those cute Halloween images, and then I also picked 3 of the jack-o'-lantern stickers. And I added those to some scrap paper and I cut them back out so that I could rearrange them and work with them until I had a design that I liked. But this is a good way to utilize your sticker sheet. And so the base for these separate sections is going to be this frilly lace nested rectangle. This is a die set I picked up from Gina Designs. I checked earlier and it is still available. I will link this in the description. And so my idea was that I wanted to have a more unique shape around the outside as opposed to previous banner which I made that was just a regular A2 size card. I still want the advantage of having that fold that I can extend over the top and I can capture the trim in that, and so I don't have to punch holes for each section and then thread them through. And so this is going to be the largest die in that set, and I measured the amount of space, the solid, between that intricate pattern, and I arrived at this measurement. Now I am not going to share that because this will really depend on what die you use, and it is not my intention to sell this die, but to inspire you to pick one that you have in your own stash, something that has a unique shape, but you're still going to get the effect of that top fold. And so you pick one from your stash that you have that you think would be fun. I do want to layer on my pattern here, but you can see that by itself this would look pretty flat, and I want to add another border of cardstock just to pop up those different layers and so they look very specific. And so I'm going to pick the orange here, and I have cut this, as I mentioned, to be in that dimension but high enough so that it will extend over the top. And so I'm just going to add this here. Also, this adds another layer of thickness, so this will be more sturdy when you display it. Now you see we have that top folding portion. So I'm just going to add this to my rectangle. I'll just fold that over the top, and I can add that where the adhesive is not quite on the back yet so that I can get it centered well and positioned so that it folds right over the top. Here's that die set that I mentioned, and so there are 3 different sizes in here, and I chose to use the largest one. So I've got that added, and I want to include a raised section so that I can begin to build that dimension. And so I have this die set. I picked this up from Amazon, and I will link this as well. It's sort of an oval, but it has kind of a more updated shape. There are plenty in here, so you can get the size that you want. And if you use the ones that are next to each other in the nested portion, you can get a nice border. And so I chose the one and cut it first with heavy duty cardstock. This is 110 pound. And then I also cut one of the orange. And so you can see that this is going to help to build up those layers. And I want to add my second pattern. These are both geometrics, but the scale is so vastly different that it is not going to look busy when you stack them together. You see, you get a definite layering effect. And so I want that to be popped up. I've got my foam tabs here, and I'll just add these. Got quite a few on here because I want it to be well supported. I'll just take the backing off of those. And I'll just position that pretty much right in the middle there. That's going to be our first layer of dimension. I die cut a tag shape from one of the patterns, added an eyelet and some twine there, and I'm popping this up on those spacers as well. And so this is going to be our second layer of dimension. That's going to be a base for our stickers. I mentioned earlier that I added those to paper and cut them out so that I could work with them and position them around until I got an arrangement that I liked. So I think that I want to just kind of offset these a little bit. These will be stuck together now, and I want to add some dimension here, but I don't want it to be as thick as the other tabs. And so I'm just going to use these 3D foam squares. I picked these up from Really Reasonable Ribbon, and this is perfect when you want just some dimension, but for your layer to not be quite as bulky. Before I add those stickers, I do want to incorporate this glittery star, and I'll tell you why in just a minute when I get these layers added. But because this is glitter paper and pretty thick, I do want to stick that down with some hot glue. And then I'll add my stickers here. Now you can see that glittery star is really acting to brighten this up. There's a lot of dark pattern papers here, and so I wanted to make this a little bit more cheerful and a little bit brighter. Now I have my flowers, and for the center section, I created 3 flowers from the Spellbinders Cinch and Go Poinsettia die set in kind of a vintagey pumpkin color, and then I've added my die cut foliage, some netting, and loopy twine bows. I'm going to add this right to the bottom with hot glue. Just being careful to keep all of those fragile bits within the border. And so now I'll bring in the other 2 sections that I have planned for this banner. And so this is very helpful because once you've made a decision for one, all you have to do is duplicate that process. So even though it does seem a little bit like busy work, you're just continuing to make the same thing over, and that way it goes a lot faster. Now we do need to adhere that ribbon on the back. I got this black plaid from Really Reasonable Ribbon, and I actually go through enough of it to justify having the whole roll. And so I'm going to measure out a nice quantity that will give me room for displaying this. And remember, we have that folded portion on the top, so that is where we're going to sandwich that trim. So turn each of these over. You'll be able to slide this into position right where you want it. So I'll just add this right to the top. I did add a little bit of my double-sided tape here, and of course I want to use my 2 glue combo. I will add that closer to that end so that I'll be able to slide these banner sections into the correct place. So here is my Tombow. Just going to add it to all 3 as I work along. It's going to be a good time for the question of the day. Do you read any holiday themed books during this holiday season? And so I actually am currently reading a book series called The Wicked Witches of the Midwest, and it is by Amanda Emily. I'm reading that from Kindle. It is about a modern day witch family that is set in a fictional town in northern Lower Peninsula in Michigan. The author also uses some real town names, and so it's quite fun to read a story where the towns are familiar and the regional events are also familiar. And so she has great humor. The storylines are never graphic or gory, and there is mild romantic themes throughout, but it's not too racy. So if you enjoy reading, let me know in the comments what book series you are currently into. Now you can see I have all of these banner shapes added to my trim. Let's flip these over. And I kind of want to determine just a little gap between so that when it hangs, it will have a nice shape. I have also created some bows here with more of that plaid loopy twine bows and then white jingle bells, which I think is perfectly festive for Halloween. So let me just grab a little scrap so I don't accidentally glue these to my work surface. Have one for in between each of these banner sections, and then one for each of the ends as well. Once you get your bows adhered, you are going to be locked into that position of the trim on the inside, so make sure you have it right where you want it. And leave yourself plenty of tail on either side so that you can display this. So that is going to be all for our banner for day 5. I sure do hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Check the description for links. Don't forget to come back tomorrow for day 6. And as always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.